So this is just last year's, well, I'm not quite sure what they are. I didn't plant them. I think they're some type of squash or gourd or pumpkin. I believe they came off of my courgette plants, but perhaps I'm wrong. Or perhaps there were some different seeds with the courgettes, but make a great ball for the dog. Good boy. Bring it here. Drop. That's just really helpful, isn't it, Peter? Back. He loves it. He was playing with it for ages yesterday, and I thought humour him a little bit. It helps tire him out, and seems to roll really well in here as well. So, but because it's so rock solid, he usually chews through stuff like nothing. But whether it's the taste of it he doesn't like, I don't know. But he doesn't seem to really chew these up, which is good. It just keeps him entertained, and he plays with it, but he doesn't seem to eat it. So I'm currently in the process of digging this bed over. I had my tomatoes in it last year, and they did really well, but the soil was really compacted. So when I planted them, all I did was dig sort of a big square like that, and then put half of a grow bag in it and put the soil back on top, then plant the tomato into that, so it had a bit of goodness to grow into, and I put a bit of fertilizer on it as well, and they did really, really well. But the soil is so compacted, I think digging it over will just do it a lot of good, and I think the plants will grow a lot better, because they took a long time to get established. And I think it's just because the soil is so hard, they sort of reached a point and then they couldn't really extend their roots as easily. So I've been double digging this bed, and I'm literally using a bar to break up the sort of second layer, because it is just so solid. You just can't get anything in there, and I'll be there forever just stabbing it with the shovel. Whereas the bar literally takes a couple of minutes, breaks it all up, and then I can just break it up with the shovel a bit more, flip it over, and then before I put anything else in it, I've got this quite well rotted mulch, which has been in the field now for a couple of years, and I've not gotten to using it all. So what I've been doing is putting a quite thick layer of that in the bottom, because it's got quite a few worms in it and things like that already, but mainly the fact that it's broken down quite a bit, and there's still some chunks of wood left in it which will continue to break down in the soil, providing just a little bit of nutrients, a little bit of organic matter to break down. And then, as you can see, there's a few leaves and things like that in it. As I've been taking cuttings, I've had a bucket, and then I've just been sprinkling all those leaves along the bottom of the hole, and then I've been putting some of the 6 times natural farmyard manure stuff as well in the bottom, just to really give it a good nutrient kick. And then what I'll probably end up doing for most things that I plant in here is, again, put half or a quarter of a grow bag in when I plant it, just because it's something that I've always done, really, for any tomato plants, courgettes, and any like hungry high cropping fruit and veg like that. I tend to give them a bit of a grow bag when I plant them, and it just really helps them through the first season, and yeah, helps them to crop nice and well. And then anything like the strawberries and all, then of course I take them out, or the rhubarb, and yeah, replant them, or if I'm keeping them where they are, which I like to try and do, I'll just give them a bit of a top dressing then of some mulch or something like that in the autumn. But that works quite well for me, and I've had good results. So it's just something I do, even though hopefully the soil should be packed with nutrients down below. It just gives them something to start with to really give them a head start. So I'm just replanting this old raised bed at the minute. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to put in there yet. I'm going to have a look in a minute once I've got it all finished. But I just thought I'd show you the different layers that I'm putting in this, just really for my own reference to see how it works. But I've found similar sort of methods to work in the past. So because obviously it is just bare soil underneath, I don't want any weeds to grow up, because it's not very big. That's my hand on it, so it's not very high up. So I don't want weeds to grow up through it again. So I've put some just like loose cut grass in the bottom, and then on top of that I've got some really well rotted wood chipping mulch, but it is more like coarse compost now at this point. It's breaking down quite nicely, but there's still some little flakes of little bits of wood still in it, little chunks like that. So I'm just putting that on top, and then I'm putting a nice layer of good compost on top of that again, and then What I'll do is once I plant on that, then I'll probably put some mulch on top, but it really just depends what I decide to plant in here. I'm half tempted to put some strawberries in here this year, purely because it's up off of the ground a little bit, so if there's any mice or anything like that, they won't eat it. But I haven't quite decided yet. I may end up just putting some nice flowers or something like that in it, but because I'm making the soil quite rich, I'm also putting some of the 6 times plant fertilizer in there as well as I go, because it's all organic, and so it should be really rich soil. So I have to put something in it that's going to really make the most of that rich soil, which is why I was thinking perhaps the strawberries will be a good move. But I'll see. I may end up planting some other bits in there instead, or have sort of a bit of a mixture of all of them, just to really make the most of growing in a raised bed. And we've just sown the first sunflower of the year, so I've done sunflower evening sun. They've filled up this tray perfectly, a couple of extra, but it'll account for any losses, so hopefully we'll get quite a few from them. They look quite nice. So I've never really been a big sunflower grower like that. I've grown the odd 1 or 2, but never really done many, so it'll be interesting to see how these turn out. And I've also got these ones and these ones to grow as well, so it'll be interesting to see what these will turn out like and how they go. But hopefully they'll be quite nice, and I'll hopefully find a favourite and save some seed from that.